All right, guys, and welcome back to another episode of AllGenGamers. This is episode 80, and tonight I am joined by Jason the Emu Heine. What's up, Jason?
Hi, guys. I'm feeling better.
It sounds like Jason has a new voice impersonation like every time I introduce him with that name.
I am. I try to do different ones every time. Keep it going.
As well as John the Gamester81. What's up, John?
What's up, man?
And tonight we are not joined by Johnny because he is sick and under the weather. However, 2 is better than 1, so we have a double feature tonight of 2 guests that some of you are probably familiar with because they both are co-hosts on the Press Start podcast. I am joined by Cliva, Quick Freeze 4. What's up, Cliva?
Hey, how's it going?
As well as the man of many names. He goes by Techno Squeak, Mr. Techno Squeak, Derek, and Grimace. What's up?
Nothing much.
And Squeaky.
Squeaky.
You forgot Techno Squeeze.
Squeeze.
Yeah, isn't that how you introduced him on the first podcast?
Yeah.
The very first episode, I screwed up his name, yeah.
Unfortunately, we are not joined by the third co-host of the Press Start podcast, which is Nostalgic Dan 1. He is busy and not online. He is doing college stuff right now, I'd imagine. However, I've been working on my Nostalgic Dan impersonation.
Oh, God. I can't wait for this.
Hey, guys. Nostalgic Dan 1 here again. I'm glad to be on the podcast. How was that?
That's perfect, dude.
Spot on.
Hey, guys. Good to be here.
Not to make fun of Dan, but
No, he's a good guy. Dan's awesome.
Completely honest here. Dan has the coolest voice on YouTube. This guy, every time I watch his videos, he smiles the entire time. He's so like happy, and his voice is so damn soothing that I just I love Dan's videos.
Seriously. Can I just tell a quick story about Dan? You know, another thing is, you know, Dan is locally here as well. And one time I was sitting around and I sent him a PM. I go, hey, Dan, because, you know, he's always supportive and always, you know, hanging out in our forums and our live streams and stuff. I go, Dan, do you want to go to the arcade today? And he's like, yeah, I'd love to. So I went over and I picked him up at his house. And we went to the arcade, and he was like totally like chill, just mellow. I mean, it was like.
Was he wearing a beanie?
Yes, he was wearing a beanie. He was.
He always wears
middle
that
of summer. It was the middle. It was 200 degrees out, and he had a beanie on.
That's his trademark.
It is.
That's his trademark.
He's a great guy. He's a great.
You know, I've never had the pleasure of meeting him in person, I don't think, man. So we gotta get him out to the arcades. I'd love to hang out with him. He's a cool dude.
Whoa. Somebody that John has not met that I have.
I know, right?
Get out of here.
Seriously.
Get out.
Seriously. But he's local. I know I think he's an ASU guy too, which he went to the same school I went to. So him and I have a lot in common in that regard. But totally chill guy, and wish he was with us tonight, but we'll get him on sometime soon.
Yeah.
For people that are not familiar, however, with our guests tonight or, you know, the podcast we're talking about, why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves and where people can find you and your podcast, and we'll start with Clivo.
Well, you could find me on YouTube as Quick Freeze 4, and that's the number 4. And, you know, I do videos like everyone else. I do pickups, unboxings, and stuff like that. But I also have 2 shows I'm currently working on. One show is called Quick Freeze Versus, where it's kind of like a challenge, kind of like show where, like, you know, I put myself against these superhero video games, and I have, like, a set of rules where if, like, I have to beat a game in like a certain amount of time or going, you know, only using a certain amount of continues. And if I have to go over that limit, then like basically that superhero's like kick my butt. Like if I'm doing like the Hulk or something. So that's why it's like Quick Freeze versus the Hulk or something like that. And the other show, I'm kind of just starting off. It's more like an action figure review, but I'm kind of sticking toward like video game action figures. I just did Sonic the Hedgehog and the Super Sonic the Hedgehog action figures a while ago.
Yeah,
so,
I still need to get that Super Sonic 2-pack. Unfortunately, I don't.
Whoa. Pete, a Sonic thing that you don't own?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Get out.
Here's the problem, though. The new Sonic stuff for the 20th anniversary is like full-blown insane, the amount of stuff that they're releasing. And my Toys R Us like barely gets this shit in, and when they do, like the scalpers hit it up and wipe it out clean. So most of the time I just end up having to buy it from toysrus.com eventually. Usually I wait for everything to come out, wait for them to have everything in stock, and then I just buy it all at once to get like free shipping.
Are they exclusive to Toys R Us only?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually the stuff is for Sonic lately, and then eventually some of it gets released to other stores after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, they do the same shit for Star Wars stuff too. It's frustrating.
But,
all right, cool.
Yep.
Clive, what else, man?
Well, that's about it for my channel, really.
All right, Squeak, what about you, buddy?
Well, you can find me at YouTube under Mr. Techno Squeak. You should, see my name all around because I post in the forums a lot. And yeah, just remember the 2 E's. And my channel is, I think, the most random channel ever because I think of something just like really fast and just do it. And like I pretty much do the pickups and like everyone else does. And I kind of stole Luke Morse's gameplay videos and just put in a game, sit the camera in front of the TV or monitor and play the game and talk about it. So
sweet.
So you go old school style. It seems like a lot of people that, at least that started up on YouTube a few years ago, started with that method. I did that too, where I'll tell you, it's the biggest pain in the ass. Setting that camera up, I was using a web camera, setting that thing up in front of the TV, getting the gain and the saturation right so it like doesn't bleed the image. Oh, what a pain in the ass.
I remember
everybody go back and watch my first review of... I did a video on Geometry Wars and Tempest 3000. They have to be the shittiest video reviews I've ever seen in my life. The image quality is so bad. Terrible.
Well, I think that's the great thing about YouTube is we all evolve in our skills. And, I still, some of my reviews, I still film the TV because my capture card for my Mac, for some reason, doesn't want to work with some systems. It's really frustrating. So I have an Elgato capture card for my Mac. So if any of you out there know like what I'm doing wrong, it just doesn't want to feed it, which is really weird. Like it will work with like the modern day systems, but like the retro shit, it doesn't want to work. So it's frustrating.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the Mac stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Neither am I.
It's all good.
But where can people find your podcast? Because interestingly enough, I was listening to the latest episode today, and I listen every week. I really enjoy your guys' show, and it's evolved quite a bit because in the beginning, quite honestly, it was very awkward. There was a lot of pauses and stuff, and now it's a lot more free-flowing, a lot more natural. And where can they find your wonderful podcast?
Well, they can find it a couple places. They can find it on YouTube as Press Start Pod, and that's all one word. You could also find us on Don Raiden's website, which is the AverageGamershow.com. And you could either stream it live there or download it. And we're also on iTunes.
And how did the idea for a podcast come up for you guys? Was it sudden, or how did it come about?
Well, it was actually this fellow YouTuber, and he sent me and Dan a message, and it was basically just very casual. He said, "Hey guys, I really like you guys, your videos and stuff like that. Would it be possible that you guys do a podcast?" And at first I was just kind of like, yeah, right, like there's no way I can do that. And Dan kind of felt the same way. And a few weeks went by, and I'm like, you know what, we could try it and just see how it works and stuff. And Dan was just like, mellow like he always is. He's like, yeah, sure, man, let's do it. And then we wanted like a third guy, and we had a couple people in mind, and actually Techno was kind of like our first choice. And he said sure.
Now, how many episodes are you guys into it?
We just hit 22, I think.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Deuce, the big double 2.
We always gotta ask before each episode, what episode are we on? We don't even know.
Dude,
yeah, that's what we do every time. Especially because we do the whole week in advance thing, so our numbers are even more confusing.
Like we'll usually record an episode before the last one we did is even released. So we're like totally ass backwards with our numbering.
But yeah, that's basically how it got started, really. And then, we just kind of did our thing. We involved and stuff like that. So
very cool.
Right on. Well, thanks for being on the show, guys.
This podcast was created by retro video game collectors and YouTube show hosts Pete Dorr, Happy Console Gamer, Gamester81, and myself, Jason Heine. Make sure to follow along and subscribe to us on iTunes under the podcast section, AllGenGamers. And if you want more information about this podcast, please visit www.allgengamers.com.